is like, what if we started a company together? We have a desire to move really fast with things, and we're not scared to move fast, but I can give my life to this.
Wow. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Spread the Positive podcast. I'm your host, Trent Denson, as always. And I say this every time, but I'm super excited about this episode. New friend, Mr. Dustin Reinmann with Kalos Dwellings. How are you, Dustin?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm super pumped about this episode. We connected on LinkedIn maybe a month ago or so, and just reached out and are looking to connect with great folks doing great work in the community and in business. And you definitely check both of those boxes, putting it mildly. So how I like to typically do this is kind of give us your backstory, as much or as little as you want to share about childhood, early passions, anything along those lines. And then we'll work our way into all things you're doing these days.
Okay. So loaded question,
I know,
guess, right?
I know. Just start out with the most loaded question.
But I will say I'll start in college, okay? So I was a pastoral studies major in college.
Okay.
And I dropped out of college.
Okay.
And so then I went through a season of feeling like a failure.
Yeah.
Like I really went through a season of feeling like, I guess it's plan B from here on out, because plan B was this. And quite honestly, I didn't like school.
Fair enough.
Didn't care for school. Probably because I wasn't good at it. Might be why I didn't really care for it. And so dropped out of college, came back home. I was a pastoral studies major at North Central University in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is an Assemblies of God university. Came home and I would say had a little bit of an identity crisis.
Sure.
And so had to go on a little bit of a journey with the Lord in terms of just like, what does this mean for now? What doors are open? What doors are closed? What's off limits? What do I pursue? And just a tremendous journey of realizing what I thought was the plan and the path ended up not being it, but not that there was then a lesser plan and path now for me. There was a greater plan and path for me. And so, but at the time I was 19 years old, 20 years old, and, just, in a season of just trying to grow up and feeling like I was growing up, but then feeling like, professionally, if I thought that the way to be the best Christian you could be with communication skills and being really outgoing and having some kind of like natural leadership skills was to be a pastor.
Sure.
And without pursuing that, I really had no idea like what was next, or where I would go and where I, would land professionally and, what that would look like in general. And so, just went through a long journey and season, with the Lord and just understanding, what was next. And, so then, did a couple of things, professionally, in 2020. So I've just skipped a lot of years. But
we're going to go back. I got a couple questions.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. In 2020, to kind of bring me to where I'm at today, my wife Sarah, we celebrate 15 years of marriage in May.
Congratulations.
And we have 3 children, Harper, Hudson, and Shepherd, 11, 9, and 7.
Wow.
And we moved in, actually it was May of 2020.
Okay.
From Central Illinois. We're from Central Illinois. We're technically living in the Quad Cities just outside of Davenport, Iowa.
Okay.
And moved to Nashville to pursue a job. I had been recruited by a company, and so we came here in faith.
Okay. And
that's what brought us here. So that brought us to Nashville, and we moved with 3 young kids.
And that was 2020?
That was in 2020.
Great time.
Yeah, exactly. And it was before, COVID was, I don't want to make a light joke of it. Before COVID was really popular is when we made the move.
I actually know exactly what that means. That's hilarious. Well, man, I got to take it back a little. So obviously faith is insanely important to you. Was that, church growing up, like very active in the church? What was that like?
Attended a great church. I wasn't as involved in the church through the week as what, we also played sports.
Sure.
And so the Wednesday night stuff was tough.
Right.
And
what'd you play?
I played, growing up, I played football.
Okay.
I played baseball in high school. So football and baseball in high school. And then as a young kid, I also played basketball.
Gotcha.
But I also didn't feel like I was like I hate to say this, like a youth group kid.
Okay.
Like
That's fair. No.
I was an athlete.
Yeah.
And I I didn't care about like going on nature retreats
Sure.
and stuff like that. Like I'm not handy. I can't build anything.
Okay.
And so I just didn't have a lot of common with stuff like that.
That's really funny.
But my senior year of high school is when I really felt the Lord. I've heard some people use the term like the Lord really like ambushes you.
Oh,
and I would say the Lord really ambushed my life, not because I don't have like a radical testimony of like a major conversion or anything like that. But it was like the Lord almost just decided to say like, it's time to get really serious about this.
Let's go.
And let's pursue a calling. And so the competitive side in me was almost like in response to feeling like I'm called by the Lord is, you have to be a pastor.
Sure.
If you're going to faithfully
Yeah.
walk through a call of the Lord,
That's
the
a
only way to
super
do
common
that,
thing.
the only way to do that is
Mhm.
through, pursuing being a pastor.
Sure.
And so that's when I, started to learn a tremendous amount about like, it isn't just that. It
Right.
can be that, but it's not just that.
Absolutely. That's amazing, man. So I got to talk about team sports. I feel like it shapes us in so much of my life I can correlate back to team sports. Do you feel the same way about
Absolutely.
that? Like
Yep.
it's everything, isn't
Yep.
it?
Absolutely.
Like to your business, to your ministry, to your family.
Yep.
Like just having that team environment and a common goal. I don't know. I always just like to point that out because I think it's so important. And there's a part of me that feels like we're losing it
Mm-hmm.
a touch these days, just with how, travel ball at like 6 years old, it's just insane. So like just losing that, like that honest, just like having like a team that you're a part of and get in where you fit in and, being able to like build or like grow together and get better as a player and get better as a teammate. I just think it's so important.
Yeah, I agree entirely, especially when you're forced to rely on your teammates because you can't do everything on your own.
Absolutely.
I think that there's so many
And
life
being there.
lessons in that.
And
Yeah,
being there when you fall short, like
Absolutely.
you can't win them all.
yes, yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, amen to that. All right. So we're in COVID. What was the professional or what company brought you here? You don't have to name the company, but what type of company? What kind of business?
It's a technology company.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
So I was a sales manager for a technology
Okay.
company. I had actually been in that same industry since 2009.
Okay.
And so I knew that industry really well. I worked for an amazing company. Actually, my uncle was the vice president of
Nice.
sales.
Okay.
Was gracious enough to interview me when I was probably way too young
Sure.
to even, get an interview. I started when I was 23 there. Was a business development rep, was an account executive, became a sales manager.
Nice.
And then from there is when I was pursued by a company here in Nashville. And so they relocated my family. And it was what was really interesting about that was everything was so new to us,
Sure.
except for the job. The
Okay.
people were new, the walls were new, but inside of the four walls, I remember telling my wife, like, inside of these four walls, I know exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
I get outside of this building, I have no idea where I'm at.
That's crazy.
And
Yeah.
so it was just a different, I realized a couple of things. One, I was actually trained and developed very well
That's
from the
huge.
company that I came from.
That's such a
And I
blessing.
didn't know it until I got to a place where nobody knew me and my knowledge and professional skills had to kind of stand on their own.
Sure.
And it was a wonderful company. They navigated COVID. I can't imagine the complexities that took place that they had to navigate. And so that was extremely difficult. We provided information and office technology in offices where people were working from home.
Right.
And that was very difficult to navigate. Exactly.
Nothing complicated
Yep.
about that.
Exactly.
That's
And so learned a tremendous amount. But through that, we ended up almost accidentally starting our own property management company.
Okay. That's so
So
cool.
getting a little bit of like
Sure.
what our story is. I mean, this started off as a side hustle.
Really?
When we were house hunting in Nashville, one of my great friends from high school and college let us stay in one of his houses.
Wow.
And since it was during COVID, I was like, is this house open? Are there like, what is the story of this house? He's like, oh, it's a short-term rental, but nobody's really traveling right now.
Right.
So it's wide open.
Got you.
And I was like, oh, okay. And so didn't really think anything of it. It was other than we arrived. It was a really nice house. It was close to downtown. And then 2 years later, really, or about a year and a half later, I reached out and was like, hey, what were those houses that we manage or that I stayed in? I'm sorry. And he's like, oh, those are short-term rentals. I was like, well, who manages those? His career had taken off. Him and his wife were, on a number of new businesses and things that they were launching on their own. And he was like, well, I'm managing him. I was like, well, how's it going? And he's like, terrible. I
Really?
can't do it anymore.
Got you.
And so I said, well, let me and Sarah do it. And so that's how we started.
Wow.
But
That's incredible.
What's really funny is
so
he had shared with me that we had lunch and kind of like formally discussed like, how would this work? What would that look like? And he was like, what's really funny is before you reached out to me, he's like, I just told my brother, hey, I can't do this anymore. We need to look at like a property management company or something. And he was like, and then you immediately reach out and he's like, I can't think of more people that I would trust in the world than you and Sarah doing this.
Wow.
And so it filled a need for him, obviously.
That's so awesome.
And gave us this, kind of like first opportunity being entrepreneurs. And it was truly just side hustle, supplemental income. Moving to Middle Tennessee, we realized, hey, it's a little bit more expensive to live here than where we're from.
Yep.
And so it was an opportunity to earn some additional income.
Right.
And that's what it started as.
That's incredible. So keep it going.
Yeah.
What's next, man? That's incredible.
So we attend Church of the City in Franklin.
Okay.
And there's Pastor Darren refers to 4 stoplights before making a big decision. And there's things that you always want to make sure that you evaluate before you make a big decision. And one of them that is rang true before we identified it that way, one of those is an alignment of events. There's an alignment of events that come together seemingly in a way that you obviously couldn't control, outside of your control, but also in like perfect order.
Wow.
And so we started our property management company again, which was 4 properties, and to call it a company is like very complimentary.
4 doors is tough. 4 doors is tough.
Yeah. And so we started with that. Truth be told, 1 permit expired, so we had to get that renewed. So it had to go on like a 6-month waiting list. And then he sold one of the properties. So we went from 4 to 2 in like 60 days.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, I thought we were going to try and like grow.
Yeah.
We just lost 50% of our inventory. But no, it was kind of a fun learning experience there. And, but yeah, so that was like September of 2021, heading into October of 2021. Okay. And our best friends here that we had met through kids sports, honestly, through coaching T-ball.
There you go.
We had met who are now our best friends.
That's amazing.
And, they bought a townhome in an area called Prominence on 30A.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so we start talking about what Sarah and I are doing with this property management company and what we're doing. And he was like, man, this is really wild, but like we just bought a townhome and actually we have a property management company. I think they do exactly what you guys are doing. And so we just start talking about it. And he was like, we're actually considering maybe like just managing it ourselves, because in our industry, you can hire a property management company or you can self-manage it.
Right.
And they were like, I think that we are going to start self-managing it. And so the alignment of events here is the dates are the months to the month of
That's
when
incredible.
We start our company and they buy their first townhome. And then they have this interest in self-managing. And we're starting to explain to them, hey, this is what we're doing. And these are some things that maybe we would recommend and suggest, not knowing the area, not knowing really anything about it. And, not long after, Aaron, who's our COO and, my best friend, is like, what if we started a company together?
I love that.
And I was like,
I love these
again,
stories,
like calling this a company is like a great compliment.
Sure.
I'm like, I don't really know.
Great things start.
I know. I'm like, I don't really know if what we have is truly a company,
Sure.
We've got some insurance, we've got a website, those are some,
two big ones.
We're registered with, the state of Tennessee.
Yeah.
We have a federal tax identification number.
Annual report you file. Yeah.
But yeah, so he was the one that definitely, I would say, very much the Lord had really downloaded some things to him initially. And then he was the one that was like, hey, what if we did this? Or what if we brought some things together? And very quickly I was like, so initially I had told my wife, I was like, gosh, I really don't know. Like there are.
And you're still full-time with your
Yes,
technology.
exactly.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. So I'm the full-time sales manager at this point in Nashville.
Which is high stress.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know if this is like the right move, especially, you have those horror stories of like friends and family in business. And quite honestly, I was like, hey, these are our best friends here. They're from here. They have lots of friends. We don't. If this doesn't work, we would lose our business partners and our business. and our friends.
Yeah, that's
So
terrifying.
we just thought like the risk was pretty high at that point. But my wife, who is an Enneagram 9,
Okay.
very much the peacemaker, was like, I feel like this is the right thing to do. And I was like, okay, that really took me back. My wife is the best cheerleader in the world. Like, very trusting, very encouraging, very supportive, usually doesn't have a very strong opinion. And she was like, I really think this is right.
That's incredible.
And so I was like, okay. And I was like, well, I need the Lord to kind of work on my heart a little bit then. And so I was like, all right, Lord, if this is right, then, I need to feel some confidence about moving forward or whatever. And so we had a couple additional conversations, and then we decided like, all right, let's do this. Let's give it a try, And so Aaron had started to share his heart for getting involved in the church. Even before the Church of the City had launched some of the things that they're doing now in the community. Aaron and his wife Tara are licensed as foster parents, and they do it. They believe that their calling is to do it on a short-term basis or for like respite care.
Okay.
To provide relief and rest for parents that are maybe in the process of adopting or fostering currently and just need a weekend away, some time away, a little bit of a reset, whatever the case may be, and they step in and provide that respite care.
That's amazing.
And so he was like, what if we started a property management company, and then like in the off season, we could like give foster families like a free vacation?
That's so awesome.
And we were like, well, that sounds amazing. Like, can you even like legally do that?
Right.
Like, can you do that? And so we just have taken the approach of like, let's just figure it out.
Right.
Let's just see.
That's so
and
awesome.
So yeah, I mean that's really how the company started.
That's so cool.
The name Kalos actually is a biblical Greek word that means beautiful.
Oh, nice.
In March of 2021, Pastor Darren was preaching, and he had talked about Kalos, which is, biblically speaking, I believe it's actually pronounced Kalos.
Okay.
And so we call it a Southern Greek pronunciation when we call it Kalos.
That's perfect. That's great.
But he had talked about it, and Aaron, I could see it in his notebook on the left-hand side on the bottom of the page. He had wrote the word Kalos and circled it. And he just said, like, I just thought it was a cool word. And so eventually, as we start to bring our company together, we're like, we got to think of a name, and we're throwing out all these ideas and things like that. And he's like, I wrote this name down a long time ago, like this word down. What do you guys think about this? And we were like, Kalos. Okay. Like,
beautiful dwellings.
All right. Yes. Yeah. Beautiful dwellings, beautiful homes, and it's a position of stature and virtue and of good value. And so we were like, okay, because we wanted to provide a luxury experience, both for homeowners and for guests.
Right.
Specifically, what we felt like was these guests are potentially saving up maybe an entire year to go on one vacation.
Yep.
Or if you think about it in Nashville, in a perfect world, you're going on one bachelor trip, one bachelorette trip, one men's golf trip a year, one women's shopping trip per year. Well, let's make sure that they have an over-the-top experience for as much as we can control for that trip. And so we just started with the guest and the owners in mind. And we put it this way, we're mildly intelligent, but we just have this desire to serve people.
Yep.
And so we felt like together that combination could really prove to be effective.
That's incredible. I love these stories so much. Like because I mean, let's just keep going. So the foundation is laid. You'll have a few doors. I was just thinking to myself, like, you have the background with like the technology behind the scenes to bring, like, your website's amazing, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead and plug the website. It's
kalosdwellings.com.
Yes, please go check that out. It'll be in the show notes, all the things.
And follow us on social media. We're running a lot of campaigns right now. We need followers. We're trying to really improve our content, improve the frequency that we're posting. Follow us on social media. Tell us what you think. Obviously we'd love to host anybody that is taking a trip to Nashville or 30A, of course.
Absolutely. We could probably help with that, by the way. Shameless plug. But that's so awesome. And it's just like the perfect, like you said, the 4-stop.
Mm-hmm.
Can you lay those 4 stops out for me?
I don't know what they are.
Okay. No worries at all. So
Let's cut that part.
No, you're fine. It's fine. People appreciate that. But anyway, so you're like, it's just like this perfect storm of events.
Yeah.
The right people, the right time, the right mission, the right fit.
Yeah.
The right faith. I mean, the right faith-based approach. Man, it's just like, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Man. So now or let's not fast forward too much. Like, what was the progression from, you got your first place at 30A, a few doors here in Nashville. What was kind of the progression that's led to where we are now?
That's a great question. And I would just say we have a desire to move really fast with things, and we're not scared to move fast. And we would say
That's what it takes.
everything we do at 100 miles an hour. And so we chase blessings at 100 miles an hour. And then we've also ran into brick walls at 100 miles an hour. And we stop and regroup and rethink some things, and we've gotten better for it. But the thing that we've learned is you don't have to slow down.
There you go.
And so we've always evaluated our current systems, our current level of hiring and staffing. Probably the very first person, the first full-time employee that we hired is probably a good testament to the way that we just approach things.
Sure.
So when I was working in the Midwest, in Central Illinois, and then in the Quad Cities, we had someone that was like an account manager for us, right? She managed some of our major accounts on the office technology side, and she was an incredible professional, just absolutely phenomenal. Her and I became friends quickly. We just really worked well together. She handled she supported our sales reps on our major accounts, and just had a really unique connection. And so as our company started to grow, Aaron and I realized we're probably at the point where us four can't do everything anymore. And so we probably need to think about who can we hire? What roles do we need to hire? Things like that. And so he had asked me in the car, we were driving in the car, and he was like, who's the best professional you've ever worked with in your past? And I was like,
what a question.
Yeah. And so I named this person,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, we should try and hire her. And I was like, okay. Well, now she is just started her third year being our director of hospitality.
Let's go.
So she and her team handle 100% of all of our guest communications. She's the director of hospitality. She supports our owners, our guests, her team, outside vendors, concierge services.
How many are on her team?
So there's
Give or
five.
take.
There's five on her team. So her team. Yeah, her team is 5 people.
Okay. That's amazing.
And what we found on the hospitality side is these people are, one, the Lord has really blessed us with crossing paths with people that are that are most certainly overqualified for their role, but we meet them at the right time in their life that this role makes a lot of sense to them. And so our hospitality coordinators handle all of our guest communications. Most of them are moms. They're all,
Moms are the best.
There's
So
nothing,
organized.
nothing that's too hard for a mom. Right. And
Facts.
so, we use the Enneagram to understand personalities and things that will help them thrive, like things that they'll really enjoy, things that they really will not enjoy, and making sure we have them aligned with the right position or the right seat on the bus, so to speak.
Sure.
And so Sarah has that team. They're just a phenomenal group of women. They do a tremendous job caring for our guests. Our reviews speak for themselves because of the hospitality. I mean, we are a hospitality first company.
Yeah.
And actually, I've recently become just super obsessed with Chick-fil-A. Not like going there and eating.
Sure.
Yes.
Just the culture.
But just the culture and the branding. And I've often just told myself, if Chick-fil-A can create this elevated experience in fast food, there's no
Strictly
reason.
chicken.
There's no reason that we can't do it in hospitality and property management.
Right.
And so that's exactly been, what our focus has been in serving both the guest and serving the owners. And so we kind of put it this way. We serve 2 clients simultaneously.
Right.
We serve a static client that owns the property, right? That doesn't change unless there's a real estate transaction for the most part. We work in partnership with them. Everything we do, for the most part, we are spending someone else's money. And so we get a really good understanding of how to work in partnership with that owner, how to build trust with them, how to make sure they understand our decision-making process. And it's the same way that we manage our own townhome down on 30. It's the exact same process that we go through. And so we work really closely with them. On the other side, the other client that we manage is the dynamic one that changes every 3 to 7 days. And no two are ever the same. They're traveling from a different place. They're traveling for a different reason. Their family dynamic is typically different, and that's the guest.
Right.
We never know what we're getting.
Sure.
We never know why they're traveling for the most part. We don't know exactly, maybe it's just a family vacation. We don't know what their dynamics are. We don't know if this is the first trip they've taken or the 10th trip that they've taken in a given year. We don't know if they're experiencing a season of just tremendous blessing, or they're maybe in a season of tremendous strain. We don't know those things. Now, our hospitality team does an amazing job becoming such good friends with these guests that it's almost like you're booking a trip with a family member or a friend. And
That's incredible.
they have them as a resource. And that's really been our focus, is to be a hospitality first company for both the guests and the owners.
Absolutely. That's incredible. Wow. I'm blown away, because that's obviously, that takes crazy intentionality. That takes a lot of just life experience. That takes the right people, everything. So you hire her.
Yep.
And then, I don't want to fast forward too much, because I know the number in my head, but like, it's insane how fast y'all have grown and like where y'all are at today. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. And I would be remiss not to also mention our second full-time hire.
Okay, there you go.
At the same time. So Aaron was in the mortgage world.
Okay.
Aaron was a loan officer for 14 years for a regional bank here. And
that's a great skill set to have.
One of his mortgage processors, loan processors, the best one that really helped him when his career was really taking off, he realized it was because he had someone managing the processes for him. And so we immediately thought, well, who was that person? And we reached out to that person simultaneously. And so almost within a 30-day period, we hired both of them.
Wow.
To come work for us.
Wow.
And just to trust us,
Sure.
like, hey, we don't have it all figured out, but we feel good about where we're headed. And so they both came on board, and actually she is our business operations coordinator now.
Okay.
And so she handles a lot of our operational processes, both internally and externally, and just does a phenomenal job with that. So it's just kind of funny. Aaron and I, some of the best professionals we've ever worked with in our former lives, now work for us full time.
That's so awesome.
And so
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it just made a lot of sense, and we know them really well. And so it's been really fun for us all to kind of like grow together and work together. But yeah, I would say from day one, we have felt like we are a company of accelerated growth. We're, there's a lot of people that, there's that insecurity of the stereotype of like, well, don't grow too fast.
Right.
If you grow too fast, you'll lose it all, or you won't grow it the right way. And I remember being like very insecure about that. Like we would grow and I'd be like, oh man, maybe we need to like slow it down a little bit. Like, at what point do we hit the level that everybody's kind of warning us about, where it's like, you're good till you get here, and then it's going to like all fall apart. There's nothing you can do about it, which is just totally made up in my mind.
Right.
But I was still a little bit operating in fear that we could potentially hit that point. And so we just really challenged ourselves. Like, let's just think ahead of where we're at. So if we have 10 properties, let's act like we have 20. And then when we get to 20, our systems are set up to support 20. And then when we get close to 20, let's act like we have 50. And then when we get close to 50, our systems can support where we're at. And so we've always just tried to stay ahead of where we're at. But our inventory, our inventory growth is just relationships. That's all that it is. We just build really good relationships with people. I tell people all the time, we're just normal people. That's all we are. We're regular people. We're collaborative with our owners in the sense of like, we want to work together. Our owners, for the most part, they're very smart people. So we can probably learn something from them.
Yep.
And so we work very closely in that regard. But yeah, we've been a company of accelerated growth since the day that we started. And so it's become part of our identity and part of our DNA. And we truly believe that the Lord has just blessed that, us embracing that. And it's funny, just in church yesterday, Pastor Darren was talking about Church of the City since 2021 or since 2021, that time period.
Right.
The church is 3 times the size that it was.
Wow.
3 times the size.
That's crazy.
And I look at Church of the City and everything that they're doing in the community, and I'm like, I'm so thankful that the church staff was not worried about accelerated growth and like, hey, Lord, we need to really slow this down because it's really starting to maybe, challenge some of our internal systems and things like that. I'm like, I'm so glad that they had the mentality of like, if the Lord wants to bring abundance, we've got to be prepared to manage abundance.
That's powerful. That just hit me in my core. Dang, that's powerful. Wow. Yeah. That's beautiful. So y'all have clearly done that. And it's been what, 4 years now? 5 years?
Yeah, we're just celebrating 4 years. Yep.
4 years.
Yep.
And where are you now?
So we are approaching 165 properties under management.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So we're in Nashville and then on 30A, and then we just became the exclusive provider for a new community in Panama City Beach.
Wow.
It's called Hadley's Beach.
Okay.
And so it's a very small community. It's 26 homes, 16 are Gulf front, and then 10 are second row homes. And so these homes are, I mean, they'll sleep up to 30 people in some cases. So this is like your
I know what you're
multi-generational vacations. This is where, grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins all come together. They book one big beach house. They're Gulf front. They walk right out to the beach. This is also where, you get groups of friends that book it, where you get people that maybe you're in you're just doing life together, whether it's sport teams or small groups or whatever the case may be. There's some really special friendships that develop out of those, and you go and take a vacation together. And so these are the homes that are positioned to be able to do that. But we've really, I would say our identity is in that luxury boutique style management, where we want great owners, and we want great houses, and we want to then have great guests.
Yeah.
And so
the guest process is pretty wild.
Yeah. There's nothing really surprises us anymore. And so we're prepared as much as we think that we can be prepared for everything. We hope we're prepared for everything.
Yeah. I can only imagine. I bet bet you get some pretty wild requests.
Yeah, we do. And it's a lot of fun though. And some of it is, it's really fun to be able to see it as a challenge, and, we all agree 99% of our guests are incredible. There's a 1% that maybe is just a little bit challenging, or maybe they've had some stress leading up to that vacation and they just need everything to go perfect. And we fall short, right? We'll make a mistake. We'll stub our toe or skin our knee and have to take ownership and try our best to make it right on an accelerated time frame. Sometimes people have a house for 3 days, 4 days. Mm-hmm. There's just very little time for us to hopefully try and make things right. But that's always our goal whenever we have any sort of issue. But 99% of the time, our guests are incredible. We have we develop such quick, wonderful relationships with them, and really enjoy that part of it.
That's amazing. So 165 doors in 4 years.
Yeah.
Luxury boutique.
Yeah.
Nashville 38 PCB.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That's incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That, I mean, to your point, God's got his hand on something for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, let's get into some of the I always like to preface this part of the show. The tagline here at Spread the Positive is bringing light to what's going right, stuff that's making a positive impact, things that are working and helping people. And you've mentioned the foster family aspect of what y'all do. And that's such a beautiful example of what we try to highlight on this show. So I really wanted to get a good portion of the show to talk about where that came from, why that's so important. I know you've touched on that a little, why that's important to y'all, and just like kind of the evolution of that process. Like how did it go from one to, just how did all that work together?
Yeah. It really started as an idea from Aaron,
right.
Is really where he was the one that the Lord, like I said, really downloaded kind of that mission and vision into his mind. And him and his wife, Tara, are already licensed as licensed to foster.
Right.
And so that's where that came from. But again, the whole alignment of events and the time frame, at the same time, our company was just starting to experience a little bit of growth. Church of the City went on what they called a citywide listening tour.
I love that.
And really the mentality behind it. And I don't want to speak for them. I'm just telling from my perspective and the knowledge that I do have of it is they basically went to community leaders and they said, we're Church of the City. We want to serve the city. Please help us understand the best ways that we can serve the city.
That's amazing.
And through that, there has been tremendous emphasis and effort, and even investment into now what they've launched, the Village of Church of the City, which will open here in the fall of 2026.
Unbelievable.
And so it's a separate campus on our campus in Franklin, and it will serve families in need based on the feedback they received on that listening tour. But one that obviously struck a chord with us was foster families, single parent families, and adoptive families. And so supporting these families in whatever regard that they need support with. And our thought process was, well, sometimes in life, you need to get away.
Yeah.
You need a vacation. You need a reset. And so we have had the honor of sending foster families down. and celebrating a free vacation, or maybe they can't actually leave the state for various reasons.
Sure.
Well, then we can send them on a staycation and they
Sure.
can stay in Nashville in one of our homes. And we've hosted, a number of families in that regard. And so that's been probably the why behind what we do, I would say. I remember when we first were starting and Aaron had this idea and we reached out to the church of the city and they were like, this sounds super interesting. We'd love to learn more about how we can work together and partner. But I remember praying about it. I was just like, Lord, if this is going to take off, so to speak, at the time, I think we were managing maybe 20 houses, 22 houses. And I was like, are we going to have to put people on like a wait list? Like, what does that look like?
Right.
And I remember it was like the Lord just like in my heart was just like, if you do this the right way, inventory will never be a problem.
That was just,
and I was just like, all right, then this is what we'll pursue. And I remember I was like, part of having a background in ministry and feeling like a failure for such a season of life, it was like a full circle moment where I was like, I'll give my life to this.
Wow.
This is how I can serve.
Goosebumps.
And so it was a moment where I was like, I still don't even consider myself an entrepreneur, but I was like, but I can give my life to this.
Wow.
Serving people in this way. And so we've had the opportunity and the absolute honor of serving some foster families. We've now kind of expanded the program where we work with local nonprofits that maybe have foster families, or maybe they even just have, families that have served in such a tremendous capacity that just need a vacation or a time away. And we've been able to open up the program a little bit for, people like that. And so that's been a real pleasure, and getting to meet some of these nonprofits and connect with them, and learning more and more people's stories has been really fascinating. We have a goal in 2026 of hosting 26 foster families in 2026.
That's beautiful.
And so
that's every other week.
Yeah, it is. And so it truly it's an off-season program.
Okay.
It relies on it requires our owners' generosity, which our owners are incredibly generous. Most of our owners, when we kind of explain the program, and they can opt in if they want, they can opt out. It's totally optional to them. We've had such amazing feedback from our owners with the program. In fact, I'll tell you one story. Yeah. We had the opportunity to, our church had reached out to us and said, hey, sorry, short notice, but we've got a family that just really desperately needs to get away. They've got a lot going on and they can't always share everything with us. Right. And so to the owners, we share as much as we can, as much as we know.
Yeah.
Because every situation is unique. Every family dynamic is unique. And so we had an opportunity to host a family. I believe it was like a Wednesday afternoon, and they needed to go like on Friday.
Wow. And
I was sitting at the table. I was actually at Aaron and Tara's house, and we were all kind of talking through this together. And they were like, Dustin, do you have an owner in mind that we should reach out to?
Yeah.
And I'm not proud of my initial response was like, we probably need a little bit more heads up than this. Like, it's Wednesday.
That's not.
And they want to go on a Friday.
That's not unreasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
2
like,
days is crazy.
a little bit more heads up would probably be nice, because I feel like I'm now scrambling to ask an owner, and that might not be fair to them to not have a little bit more time to maybe ask some additional questions, things like that. So I literally, in spite, was like, all right, Lord. I literally was like, all right, Lord,
let's get it.
If we're going to do this, who should I ask? And the Lord put an owner's name on my mind immediately.
Wow.
Instantly. And he was like, ask this owner. So I was like, okay. And so I pulled up my text message, started typing his name in, and I realized I hadn't actually texted him in 9 months. So then I felt this sense of guilt. Is he going to think oh, you only reach out to me if you need something? And I was like, oh man, I don't know if the optics on that are going to be what I want.
Received, yeah.
But I felt like it was just the enemy just trying to don't reach out. Don't, you know what I mean? Just
that doubt, man.
Put it away.
Yep.
A spirit of doubt, a spirit of fear, just trying to get me not to pursue this.
Wow.
And so I typed up a text message, and I just said, hey, I don't even know if I've explained this program to you, but this is what we do. Wanted to know if this is something you'd be open with. And then I was almost totally fine. If not, I know it's short notice. You probably have lots of questions. I was almost in my text message asking him, giving him every out possible to say hey, I don't think this is going to work for us this time. And I send the text message, and you know how you send a text message and then you can see like bubbles when somebody's typing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like immediately bubbles popping up.
Oh, wow.
And I was like holding my phone like, all right, I guess we're going to get an
Here we
answer
go.
pretty quick, you
Here
know?
we
Like
go.
either
That's
I
incredible.
really offended him and he's
Yeah.
really upset,
Or he's all
or
in.
he's like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm really glad you asked me. And he was like, let's go. Yes.
Wow.
And in that moment, I mean, I literally just got emotional, just like now. You know, I got emotional in that moment. I was like, Lord, I am so sorry that I just was, I was so small-minded in my thinking. You know, I'm like, I'm so sorry. And so we coordinated with the church. We send the information. Hey, we've got a house. This is lined up. The owner's good to go. Later that night, I just kind of like rethought about it. And I just shot him a text. I said, hey, thanks again. We're so excited. This family is so excited. Come to find out, I'm not even sure they've ever even been to the beach before.
Wow.
And they've had some things that have really transpired over the last couple of months. This is really a blessing. And I said, I have to ask, you responded immediately. Like, where did that yes come from? Like, where did your yes come from?
And
so he was like, I'm really glad you asked me that question. And I was like, okay. And he said, I don't share this part of my story, but he said, Dustin, I actually, for a part of my childhood, I was in the foster care system.
Wow.
And I was literally like, I just like put my phone down.
Jeez.
And I was like, oh man, Lord, this is not about me. This is not about what I'm doing or what I feel called to do. Like, this is all you. Like, I wouldn't have thought of that owner's name until the Lord immediately put one owner's name on my heart. And so that's why I reached out. He shares that with me. He's like, I actually shared, spent a part of my childhood in the foster care system. I don't share that with very many people.
Wow.
And then he's like, could my wife and I actually write a letter to this family?
Wow.
So then I'm like, okay. So then I start asking our church, like, hey, is there more that you can share? Like, what does that look like? Can you give us a little bit of information about this family? And so they're like, yep, we'll share everything we can. They share quite a bit more information. And then the owners write a letter and they email it to me. And they're like, can you just print it off and then have it at the house for the family when they arrive?
Wow.
Well, I hadn't really shared this with anybody.
Wow.
But we have an amazing staff down in Florida. So I forwarded it on. I just said, hey, can somebody print this letter? And I never told anybody, like, you can't read this. It's confidential. I never said anything. So they read it. And they were all like, what is this? This letter is so encouraging, so heartfelt. So now our whole staff
it's just bawling.
Is so blessed by this. All because this owner said yes.
Wow.
And so, I mean, it blessed our staff incredibly. So now when they think of like, oh, that family and that owner, it's like just their whole thought process is totally different in regards to like, how can we serve this family? How do we serve this owner? And so, so we've just asked the Lord, like, can you help us build a library of these stories? Like, we want our own library of these stories. So when somebody says, what would you say the Lord is doing inside of Kalos? It's like, I could share story after story after story of the hand of God so visibly and physically on the hand of our company that it is things that I tell people all the time. If I hadn't been here since day one, I don't know if I would believe all the things that have happened.
It's incredible, man. Ooh, okay. Well, that's a great example of what's going right in the world. Thank you for that, man. I hate to do this. We're running out of time a little. First and foremost, I would like to extend anything we can do to help with that. I think it's like got podcasts written all over it, and we need to do this.
Yeah.
So please, whatever we can do, we're all in. Yeah, that needs to happen sooner than later. So, Dustin, man, thank you so much for being on, for coming out to Murfreesboro, checking out the new studio. We're super proud of it. Definitely see some collaborative efforts in our future, hopefully, man. This is why we do what we do. You got me all the way in my feels, as you can tell. So thank you for the work you're doing. Thank you for the passion that your team has. Man, this is why we push record, man.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for everything, dude. It's been life changing.
Yeah,
honestly,
that's awesome.
dude. So thank you for what you're doing. Definitely need a part 2. I feel like we left so much out, but just grateful for your time. I know this wasn't probably the most convenient way to do this, but we can definitely accommodate moving forward. But just thank you for what you're doing, man.
Absolutely.
This is one of my favorite episodes to
Awesome.
date. So excuse me, everybody. I'm crying right now, but be sure to check out Kalos Dwellings. As I said, it'll be in the damn, man, you got it'll be in the show notes. We'll have all the links. Be sure to, if you want to get involved with the foster program, I feel like there's a lot of ways to do that as well. Just thank you, man. Thank you so much. We'll wrap this one up, but we're definitely part 2 and Kalos stories on deck, man. We got to get that going. So thank you again for coming. We'll wrap this one up.
Thank you.
Shoo. Dang.